Hello. So this is going on YouTube. Um, I'm not very professional. I just kind of roll with it. It's fine. Um, so for the internets, welcome to the Next San Diego Coffee with me, Isabel Wen. And then today we're also talking about Torrey Project, which I'm also a part of, specifically their upcoming spring boot camp for entrepreneurs, first-time founders, and underserved entrepreneurs specifically who are conscious and purpose-driven. So there's quite a bit to dig into. So wanted to give the community an opportunity to just come and chat about it and learn more. Um, Incidentally, before I hit record, Tyler was just asking that, so I wanted to record this with that preface before I answer that question. And so the agenda for today is to, just kind of do some quick introductions with who's here. We might have some people rolling in, but right now it's just three of us. And then we'll also roll into Hubs by Mozilla, which is a new platform I've been trying to get us to transition over because I'm kind of getting a little bored of Zoom, and I think everybody's maybe a little bit kind of there. So I'll help orient you in Hubs a little bit. It should be pretty straightforward. After that, and then we'll dive into Torrey Project, because I imagine it'll take a few minutes to kind of orient yourselves and ground yourself in the new space. And I'll just do a really quick presentation or overview of Torrey Project's Bootcamp, and followed by Q&A. So you can interrupt me at any time, which is fine. So maybe I'll start first. I'm Isabel Wen. I'm founder of Next San Diego, but I like to think of myself more as a co-founder because really this project came out of the conception of talking to many different people within the San Diego region. Basically, it was just a bit of a challenge to find values-aligned people who are also working on those initiatives in their daily lives and bridging their personal values with the work that they're doing. And not only that, but across like a full spectrum of activities. I noticed that in searching for something like this, and again, the reason why we created it is because we couldn't find it, was a place or a community that was really about the entire spectrum. So there's a lot of good work in different silos. So, for example, we really support Business for Good San Diego, which is a group of activists, small business owners within the region. There's also obviously the B Corps chapter. There's a local chapter. San Diego Green Drinks, San Diego Grant Makers. The list goes on. I'm not going to take too much time to list all of them. And we support all of their activities, but they have very specific focused things that they're working on. And it was just personally for me, and I think for some other people, kind of challenging to just coming into this space as a brand new person of like, what even is there? Who is there? What are they doing? Google searching is not helping me. No one in my circles can help me. They're like, oh, that's a great idea. And that's the end of the conversation. So this is where Next San Diego came out of. And so we're trying to support other people who are trying to connect and really help each other in bringing more of their personal values into their work. And what we like to say is regenerative business. And I get asked that a lot of like, what the heck does that mean? What is regenerative? Or, I'm from the biotech community. So there's a lot of implication that our assumption that it's like regenerative, like biotech, which again that's cool, but like, it's not our focus. So regenerative, in summation is like everything that you touch, you're adding value to, you're leaving it better than how you found it. You're trying to heal rather than just maintain, which is what sustainability is. I just published an article on that on our website, so that should help. And so as far as like what is Next San Diego, there's also some information about that on the website, but really it's the coffee meets. Really trying to get people to actually talk to each other, especially in times right now, it's kind of hard to do that. And so we're just providing a virtual space for people to connect. So I'll get off my soapbox. Melissa, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. And audio's okay again? Great. So my name is Melissa. I'm a co-founder with my partner Malia Garcia of Insight Out, and we are education advocates and community builders. And right now we have a program that we're designing to help teens who want to be more involved in their community or be leaders in the future, get connected with themselves and other community members and other teens. So we're offering them tools for self-development, growth, and just a place where they can thrive. So that's our first little step. We're trying to focus in our vision a little bit, and so that's where we're starting with. I participated in the Torrey Project in the last cohort, number 5, and so I came to join today to see who might show up and if there was anything I could do to support or any conversation I could help hold space for.
Yay! Thanks, Melissa. Tyler?
Hello, I'm Tyler. I I really don't know what I'm doing here, honestly. I was invited by a friend who's also involved in a lot of community stuff. He's down in San Diego, William Patoon, and I really value the work he does. And he, I also like to get involved in community as well, sort of my local businesses, any kind of local stuff I can help with, community, like government stuff too. But anyway, I'm actually part of sort of a coaching and business development group. We help build business operating systems and stuff like that, where we really like to help, get you to the next level. But we don't need to get into all that stuff. I was just here to see what exactly this was about. I read the little intro on it. It seemed interesting, so I thought I'd check it out and see if there was anything I could learn or potentially, shed value on myself.
Yeah, since I'm going to make a decision on the fly here, since the group is kind of small, maybe I'll hold off on hubs because it's only like 3 of us, because that might disrupt our flow a little bit. So maybe I'll just dive right into Torrey Project. And if at the end we can move into hubs for kind of like I guess like the chatting space. Does that sound good?
Sure.
Cool. So I'm a visual person. I'm going to share my screen. It's much easier for me to explain stuff that way. So Torrey Project Bootcamp, or yeah, we've got our website too, but I kind of went over this and this is probably maybe a little bit easier to digest than a long, scrolling page, but I'm sure, maybe Torrey Project is new for you, Tyler, so I'll maybe kind of explain a little bit about that. So Torrey Project is a nonprofit here in San Diego that's founded in 2019 by David Ferran. And essentially, the reason why I'm going to tell his story is because it's really relevant to why Torrey Project exists. So he actually did a previous coffee with us. I think I recorded, probably not on YouTube yet, so I will change that. But essentially, he's got 30, 40-year career as a public company CEO of global corporations in the semiconductor industry, and always had these personal values. But the way that he was taught business for his entire career was profit driven. So he was great at it, right? But then I think about 4 or 5 years ago, he sold his last company and he basically just kind of like semi-retired and was kind of exploring what to do with his life, and came across, I think, Conscious Capitalism. I think it was a book, got really into that rabbit hole and was like, oh my gosh, how come no one ever told me this during my 40 years as a public CEO? Like, why only now? And so, having that enlightenment and realizing if I didn't have this, how many other people out there, don't have this information yet, or not aware that it's not just a crazy idea. So he started Torrey Project with the purpose of transforming the view of capitalism on a global scale to be more towards what we call stakeholder capitalism. It's not a term that we made up. I believe our Edward Freeman might have coined that term over in Virginia, but essentially it's the concept that you care a lot about your different stakeholders in your business, and so that could mean anyone that touches your business, including the environment and the communities that you serve, as well as your customers and your employees and your partners and all these different elements. So, for me, I'm also kind of new to this like impact business space, and I'm a little bit more, I guess, in the progressive side. So some of the people that I talk to are like, capitalism is bad and that's a dirty word and like, that kind of stuff. And so it took me some time to really internalize and realize, capitalism is not a bad thing. Like when you actually dig deep to the bare bones, a lot of the systems that we're proposing to change what's wrong with the world now are still essentially capitalism, still a market economy, albeit, the way that we've been doing it is maybe not the best way. A lot of people have been left out. A lot of stakeholders have been left out. And so that's kind of what Torrey Project's purpose is to re-educate the world, really, that this can be done in a better way that will, provide a healthy environment and also healthy working conditions and address, wealth inequality, all these different injustices that we're seeing. So that's kind of a lofty goal. So what we're starting with is something really simple, which is a boot camp for founders. That's kind of like our wheelhouse, if you'll say. So supporting businesses, I guess these kind of different pillars. There's education, there's funding, mentorship, and also talent. But those are kind of like future pillars that we're kind of working on right now. But so far we've been doing what we call the boot camp. And so, you may or may not be familiar with what a typical boot camp means. Sometimes it's a weekend, sometimes it's a week, sometimes it's 4 weeks. So ours is a 4-week program. Used to be extremely time intensive. It was an in-person program. When COVID hit, we had to re-strategize that completely. So we've moved it to an online program now. As of last November, that was our first online cohort. Melissa was actually part of that cohort, so she can answer any questions you have about the experience. And so, who is this for really? Because it's kind of a broad umbrella of founders, right? So we really tailor this towards first-time founders who are conscious and purpose-driven, but also what we call underserved entrepreneurs. So, that's Black, Indigenous, other people of color, women, for any reason you might be underserved in entrepreneurship. So maybe you're an immigrant, maybe, you're the breadwinner and you support your entire family and you don't have time to go to business school. Maybe you're differently abled, maybe you're a veteran. I mean, it could be all these different things. And that's not an all-inclusive list either. It's just some examples. So we're really trying to make it more accessible to people who traditionally don't have easy access to this, because a lot of, successful business people today, they had existing networks and relationships and people to ask, for advice and even funding, even if it's just like a few $1,000s. And it's like a whole huge part of the world that doesn't have that. So we're trying to make it easier for everyone. And we realize that's a huge part towards addressing the wealth gap. Let's see. Curriculum. These are just some examples of what we might talk about. One thing that we're kind of doing a little differently this go around on our 6th cohort this spring is that when you apply, you can actually vote and indicate which topics you're interested in. So these are just general ones, but we have more specific ones in the application. And based on the feedback that we get, we'll then, build the curriculum and potentially secure a guest speaker, because we have an army of them that are really great. They're ready to go as soon as we tell them the topic and the time. So again, it's kind of like business basics from a really high level, just kind of why this is usually geared towards first-time founders. And we welcome companies of any size, any stage, but we really tailor it towards like the really beginning. So stuff like, what are the different legal entity types, and particularly, interest in the newer ones like a public benefit corporation. And also, business frameworks like social enterprise, like that gets thrown out around a lot. So like, what does that actually mean? What are the financial implications of the different entity types? And then also, some financial basics of like, what should I be doing as a CEO or a founder? Purpose is actually often overlooked. We've had companies that were actually pretty far along in their stage and development and completely overlooked this, or they didn't really sit down, and really like nail it down, or at least get even a version 1.0, because it may change a little bit in terms of the statement, but your essence should pretty much, you should know what that is and align everything towards it. And a lot of like culture and leadership development, we have some workshops around that as well. Maybe I'll take a quick breath if there's any questions so far. Nope. Okay.
You're doing great, Isabel.
I think when I talk for a long time, I think for everyone gets like this. When you talk for a long time, it just starts to feel weird. So thank you. The session structured, so they're weeknights, 6 to 8 p.m. Pacific. The reason why we do that is because we recognize a lot of the entrepreneurs at this stage are doing this on the side, and they have full-time employment, or they're taking care of kids and stuff like that. In some cases, going to school. So we do weeknights, 6 to 8 p.m. There's like one exception for speakers that are on the East Coast. And then we have office hours, which are optional, Fridays 12 to 2. They're optional, but we highly recommend them. That's kind of like with the meat and bones, I guess, getting into like, your company and a lot of the participants have very specific questions that are just, maybe don't feel like taking up the 2-hour session with everyone else in the room. And then we have what's called Torrey Tank on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So that's basically a 2-hour pitch session where different participants will take turns doing their pitch about their company. And then we'll kind of guide them through pretty much questions anyone would ask, right? Like, oh, this is a great presentation, but like I didn't really understand like who your customer was, or like, what is your business model? How are you going to make money? Identifying some of the challenges, that kind of stuff, like super, I guess, lightning round, just like stuff to take away and work on over the 4 weeks. Excuse me. And then another new thing is we have additional sessions that are optional. So the timing for that really depends on the speakers. So these might be workshops on the weekends, or additional sessions on the weekdays that maybe weren't highly loaded on. And let's see. The team, we have, I want to say almost all volunteer team, currently 9 people. It's grown a lot. We have over 13 guest speakers and lecturers who are all stellar in their topic areas, and also, potentially great partners for your business. We also have a growing mentorship network. The reason why I mentioned that is because upon graduation, you get 1 year of mentorship from our mentors. So, I mean, if this wasn't enough, this certainly will be. You get a whole year of access to Dave. And we're also available for questions at any time throughout the program and afterwards. Some constraints to be aware of is that you have to attend all of the core sessions, so these weeknight sessions, in order to graduate. But once you do, you join our alumni network. And then also there's pre-session homeworks. So to explain that a little further, in advance of each of the core sessions, we'll ask you to maybe do, like watch a YouTube video or read a short article or something to really prep you on that topic. And that way the 2-hour session that's live will be more focused on the dynamic engagement and discussion with the speaker rather than them just talking at you for 2 hours, which is like, what's the point of meeting, all together in the room if they're just going to talk at you? They could have just sent a video. And so that was kind of some feedback that we got from the last session of just, more engagement, more working on, their companies and nonprofits. Tuition, which is a good question. They've always been free in the past, thanks to our sponsors, really our foundation donors, but unfortunately with COVID, a lot of that fell through. And so we're transitioning more towards sustainable revenue model for Torrey Project. And so what we're experimenting with right now is a donate what you value model. What that means is after you go through the program, you have the option of donating what the financial value that you felt you received was. We're extremely flexible with this. Even if you don't donate anything, we will never turn you away or make you feel bad. We recognize everyone is in a different place. And, and even an ideal option is like if you thought it was, I don't know, $2,000, but you don't have $2,000 right now. That's okay too, and we'll work with you. And if you want to just say, maybe I'll contribute what I have now and a little bit more later, that's fine too. And yeah, I guess just some results that we've had is, oh, got that there twice. We've had 48 alumni graduate over the 2 years that we've been around in the 5 cohorts, all across the US, Canada, and Mexico. Eventually, we do have plans to expand internationally even further. This particular boot camp that Dave and I host will be more US based because that's kind of our knowledge, but we have some plans to start building out a Japan equivalent of this by the end of this year, and also Singapore. Can't say much further out than that. It's pretty hard to say, but yeah, that's kind of where we're at now. So any questions on there?
I don't know if I have any questions in particular, but I love it. I love the model, the purpose, and sort of the way it's structured. I like how you're doing the donate what you value now, so you can capitalize a little on the value people get from it, but still not have to turn anybody away. It's something that I would definitely share with people that I think might benefit from it. And so on that note, I would like, maybe a link afterwards, a link to the YouTube video, somewhere that I can actually share this information with people. And I mean, those are my initial thoughts right now, but yeah, I love it.
Awesome. Let me just make a note of that. Yeah, so this, what we're doing right now, is going to go on YouTube in the Next San Diego account. And I can also link to that on our Bootcamp page.
Yeah, I mean, is there a I guess you just said it, there's a Bootcamp page. So there's like a landing page people could go to check all this stuff out as well.
Yes, I will have to share my screen one more time. Technology, where are you? There we are. Yeah, torreyproject.org/bootcamp.
Gotcha. Why is it called Torrey Project?
I would ask Dave that question. I actually don't know the answer to that, but I would say something about the Torrey pine.
Actually, yeah, he did share that answer with us. It wasn't officially during the boot camp. It was during, well, I guess technically it was during office hours. Somebody asked because Dave has a really good story for everything. And so he told, it's quite a long story actually. So you might need to ask him for that reason, but it is a location kind of connection, but it's not directly specifically about Torrey Pines.
Okay.
Yeah, leave it a little mystery.
That's good enough. Thanks.
Mm.
Yeah, so
I actually really enjoyed the application process since you're on this page right now, because the bootcamp was recommended to me from Jessa and Laurel from Stellar Co. And also as a way for me to kind of catch up to some business information because I didn't have a business background, and how I can be co-founding a brand new business and not have a degree in business or not have much understanding except through friends and family who have run their own business. And the application process itself helped me think through a lot of what I wanted to get out of it. It helped me find my purpose for even applying And then I knew what I was getting into more based on some of those questions that were asked as well. I'm excited to hear that the addition of like what type of topics interest you, and also that the timing of the donate what you value in paired with underserved entrepreneurs is great, right? Because if you just put a price tag on it and there's people who are underserved and then also could not afford, and then the focus is on startups who tend to be, you know, pre-revenue, how can they pay for it? How can they get that benefit? So I'm really excited to see that those happened at the same time.
Yeah, we recognize that's kind of like a huge catch-22 in a lot of entrepreneurship programs. It's like, I don't have money, I don't make money. How am I supposed to pay for this expensive program? So I don't know, yeah, if you can see this tab on the application that I'm on. No?
Yes.
You can,
Yeah.
okay. Still learning. But yeah, I did update the application a little bit, so it's actually a little bit more in depth than it was last time. So now it's got questions like, I don't know, let's see. It's got a lot of questions, but oh yeah, your pronouns. We didn't ask that before. Now we do. It's kind of good to know. You know, yeah, what are your intentions? How did you hear about us? Have you done something like this before? And this gives us all context to, you know, also understand how to tailor the program to you and, you know, the other participants. Basics about your business. You know, do you have a co-founder? Did they apply? What is your business? You know, give us your pitch. You know, info that we can look up. Incorporation type, because we also allow nonprofits. We have had some nonprofits. You know, your stage of development. Is this a side hustle? That's really important context. Other important context, you know, maybe I don't ever plan on raising funding. That's important to know, because a lot of these programs are, for some reason, really tailored towards raising venture capital, and we're like, that's not for everyone. And I actually learned in the last bootcamp that Dave said only like 10% of companies are even really well suited for venture capital. Yeah, just some financial investment information or grants. And so that'll help give us context in terms of like how we can help you. Just sectors. So I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but I'm just going to go super fast.
Was education added to sectors or options for?
No.
Yeah.
Was not. So we have an other.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, what do you need help with? How much money are you making now? How much money do you think you need? If at all, you know, how are you going to use that money? How much have you raised? When are you looking to raise? You know, how would you rate your level of business acumen, which you didn't ask before, and it's kind of important to know. And business acumen specific to multi-stakeholder frameworks, which is also important to know, because we've had some people in the last cohort who were like, I didn't really take away anything from the session. I kind of already knew everything they were talking about, but it was a nice reminder. And have you run your own business before? Which is, we never asked that. Yeah, what are your priorities? And then this is also new of like, you know, how do you want the sessions to feel like? Do you want resonance with the content, or do you want to feel resonance with other people? Do you want to get work done? Do you want to make a plan? So that will also help tailor the feel of the program. How hard is it for you to even commit to the time commitment? The topics, I'm not even going to make you read it because it's very long. And yeah, just your commitment. We also have diversity and inclusion, so we understand, you know, a little bit more context again of like how you might feel marginalized, and just some demographic info for our research purposes. And then also on the Bootcamp website, we have alumni testimonials. from some of the past cohorts. And I think that's it on the website side. So yeah, March 29th, April 23rd. We're hoping if everything goes well and we have lots of applicants, we have 2 cohorts. Right now the applications are kind of slow. So if we don't get enough applicants, we will have to postpone this bootcamp and then just turn it into a waitlist. We also have plans to, again, if everything goes well, host a second set of cohorts in the fall. So the total of 4 cohorts per year. So far we've done, oh, someone's joining the room. Hi. Hi, Shelly. This is all being recorded, so don't worry if you missed anything, it'll all go on YouTube. So yeah, and then another really important thing that I didn't mention is we're also launching an accelerator in the summer of this year. And so it's a completely different program from the bootcamp, and it's totally different from anything I've seen out there. Maybe I'll just kind of briefly highlight, but it's like stop sharing my screen. Instead of doing like an artificial, 90-day timeline or whatever, it's going to be no timeline, and it's going to be based on same as many other accelerators, getting you ready for capital raising. But whatever that looks like for your company or organization or nonprofit, maybe you need financial documents, maybe you need a pitch deck, maybe you need market research, whatever that is, will help you in however long it takes. And so that will be up to 6 companies per cohort. Thank you, Mel. Up to 6 companies per cohort. And once one company has kind of accomplished that, it will open up a slot for the next company in the waiting list. And the priorities in that waiting list will be for underserved entrepreneurs. So again, this for the accelerator will specifically be for BIPOC and women and LGBTQ. So that's kind of what that's going to be about. And we're also building a fund right now to help in addition with the accelerator. So the fund is, again, tailored towards underserved entrepreneurs who don't have friends and family around, who don't have someone that they can just go, hey, lend me like $5,000. So it'll be a non-dilutive, non-extractive fund that doesn't take equity, and it will be revenue-based. And so it'll be some multiplier. I think the details are being worked out, but it'll be a multiplier return. And once you've done that return based on revenue, your commitment's kind of completed. But there's also stakeholder milestones built into that. So if you complete, let's say I'm making this up example, that you become a certified B Corp, your scalar goes down by a certain amount. Yeah. So yeah, that'll be really awesome to build that into the accelerator. And then if you don't qualify for that and you're still part of the accelerator and you graduate, we're working on building an investment network. Right now we have about 50 different investors in our network. So that are values aligned. So hopefully you'll be eligible for one of those. So that's it for my presentation. I don't know if there's any further questions.
No, but I am very excited to hear that I know you guys have been talking about building an accelerator for a while and kind of trying to figure out what that would look like. It's exciting that that's coming out. And I do hope that more people, I'll help spread the word if I can, that more people do get involved in the boot camp, because that would be a nice transition for them to prepare if they get to that point where they want to start looking at their funding and revenue and how that's going to work for them.
Yeah.
It's like take the knowledge, apply right away, right? Integrating it immediately.
Because I've talking to other people who also run kind of like their other incubators or boot camps. Like we were talking to We the Plug, we're also based in San Diego, but also have a international reach. A lot of the founders that come in think that what they're supposed to do from the get-go is fundraise. And that's not true. That's not true at all. And so just re-educating and just like, you need more of a foundation of like, why are you even doing this? And how are you going to do that before you even talk to investors? And sometimes you don't even need investors. So okay, if we're done with the Torrey Project portion, I can stop the recording and then we can get to know each other a little bit more. How does that sound? Sounds good. Okay.